Welcome back to Regal Tells. It's been a while since I've recorded this, but the only reason I've dreaded it just a wee bit is that my editor that I use to edit my videos has changed, and there's no back 5 seconds on it no more. You either go back to the start or you go forward 5 seconds, and it pissed me off super bad because I know when I record these I need to go back 5 seconds quite often with these ones. The other ones I can kind of wing it. This I have to be more precise, and I like to count it, and so it's gonna mess me up a little bit, but you know what, it's okay. It will come out if I just read at a stronger vernacular. I'm not gonna even try to say whatever I was gonna say. Anyways, we're gonna be playing some Regal Tells today. It's about time. I wanted to do 2 episodes at least. At least once a month, 2 episodes. I know that sounds like little, but I know that sounds like it's just a little bit of time or a little bit of episodes a month, but these are a little bit harder to put together since I've been feeling unwell. But we will see. Okay, now that I feel weird about how I did my intro, let's start. Thank you. All right. Zeta pulls out the scroll Feck had given him and aligns thoughts with the ring. With these findings, he knew he needed to speak with Nadja right away. The wolf knew the importance of the lioness's plan, but it couldn't stray his mind away from the toxic sense of danger lingering in the air. The unknown tension felt as if the feral beast was breathing down his neck. A random slave was one thing, but a dirge ring was another. He couldn't afford to ignore this. Nothing good whatsoever for us. Grr. Listen up. Everyone stood at attention. I'm putting all of you on recon duty. Head back home and see what our fellow tribesmen have been up to. Everyone expressed a collective shock to Zeta's orders. Elgeron stepped forward with a heavy concern, pulling his eyes. You're not considering one of our warlords had anything to do with this, are you? I'm not taking chances with any of the odds, especially with this scavenger, the note mentioned. Call me a crazy old dog for all I care, but I'm not taking the risk this time around. He grabs Elgeron by the shoulder and pulls everyone in for a group huddle. He brings the war ring to everyone's attention. Take this ring back home with you. See to it that the elders know about what we found. Feck takes the massive ring and wears it along his wrist. Okay, but what about you, boss? Are you going to try and stop Nadja on her campaign or something? Zeta holds up a note. Knowing how she is, probably not, but this will give her a hint as to what we need to keep an eye out within our ranks. He tucks his parchment away and steps back. You all know the rendezvous spot. Meet me there once you've gathered everything we need to know. So long as the Empire doesn't kill you, that is. I'll try and slow Nadja down for you to catch up. But if you find anything else just as dire along the way, report back to me immediately. Got it? Why does it feel like we've got enemies on every front now? Citrix and Elgeron begin to head back to their houses. Feck is stopped in his tracks as Zeta holds him by the shoulder. Yeah, boss? Zeta's eyes shift awkwardly between Feck and the bat. You didn't happen to know him, did you? The cougar gawks hesitantly to the assumption and shook his head. What? No? The North Wind kept their slaves in different captivities depending on the product. Never met a bat in my life anyway. I honestly thought they fizzled out after you killed their admiral. He looks to the ground with a distant stare, his mind now muddy with resurging memories. His fingers clasp around his ear with his talons protruding around the base. Doesn't matter at this point now. We have a whole war ahead of us to worry about. They might have raised you to be one thing, but right now I need you to be someone I can count on. Someone to follow through with all of this, no matter the foe before us. I need the best from you, Feck. Can I count on you? I wouldn't be in your company if I wasn't. Zeta's lips tugged to offer Feck a mild smirk. He outstretches his arms to his feline companion and shook a hearty farewell. I won't let you down, boss. Count on it. Zutta pats him on the back as they part ways. However, he lingered where he stood, like a roaring winds around him. His mind was a clutter of unending scenarios that plagued his war-tattered mind. Left to his lonesome, the white wolf stood above the rotting remains of their avian spy. His haunting yellow eyes leer over before setting his attention back onto the ring. Though Naja had promised to end this war, the howling winds carried an ominous sigh stained with blood. Like sand to the tide, darkness swept the night into a silent abyss. Not even the howling desert winds could escape the approaching maw. Quiet was all that remained, but not even it could reign supreme in this endless war. A deep rumbling dethrones the tranquil peace, followed by the roaring of the winds and the barbaric chants carried on to them. Sheltered within the darkness, the approaching sound of rotting leapt into life. The ungodly distortion gave birth to an unnatural sound, one of pain, spite, anguish, fear, and dread, roaring into the existence like a great flame, only to bear down on its audience like a landslide. Slap. Naja jolts awake. The abrupt awakening toppled her off balance, causing her to fumble awkwardly from her perch. She digs her claws into the tree and corrects her landing in time to land on her feet. She readies herself for a fight, but halts after seeing Zutta leaning up against her tree. Sleep well? A primal instinct possessed Naja momentarily. Her frantic gaze darts about, posed to attack those who get too close for their own good. Despite the dry heat of wasteland, she could not stop shaking. Zutta curls a quizzical brow at her reaction, holding up his paws to beckon her down. She slowly did so. The tired lioness growls out a meager sigh and rubs her sleep from her eyes. While massaging her face, she can feel an unusual growth on her cheek. She pokes and probes at it before yanking it off. A jam-covered piece of pita bread was stuck to her face. Her sleepless eyes stared off at the wolf with a groggy groan. What kind of oaf goes around throwing good bread in the morning? It's that or a bucket from the bathhouse. Take your pick. Like any feline, even the great terrifying lioness hissed morbidly at the option. Zutta shrugs and taps his cheek, signaling her there was still jam left over. Least we stocked up on your favorite jam at least, right? Yeah. Her maw hinges wide and aches out a long brewed yawn. Folding the bread up and wiping the remains of jam off her cheek with it, she sinks her fangs into the morning snack. Half of it hangs from her mouth while she begins to stretch. Naja's eyes sunk with a dreary look of exhaustion. She aches out a strenuous yawn while tirelessly rubbing her eyes until they are ridden. Her mind felt numb while awakening itself from its own dreamy stupor. But anywho, find where my spear landed last night? Didn't happen to find its way into any Imperial spies or something. Zutta pauses for a bit for Naja's own mind to catch up to her senses. Her mental state seemed to be kerfuffled, he noted. She never was a morning person. We did, shattered to bits, sadly. Can't say the same about the body, thankfully. Find anything of note off our bird friend, then? Actually, was a bat, not a bird, weirdly enough. Naja tears into her bread while heading back to the camp. She spots Magina near a bonfire and heads that way. Zetta hastily trails behind her. A bat, you say? Can't say I've ever seen a bat in Imperial garbs yet. That's a new one. He's not Imperial. At least I don't think so. Naja stops at the cusp of the camp and looks down at the wolf. A flash of confusion sprawled across her face. How do you mean? He carried colors or coins on his person. Zetta shakes his head. Nothing to point out where his loyalty lied. The only thing we know is that he was one of those war slaves the North Wind Company breeds. Naja stood by the fire. She cast her paws over the warm flame while entranced in thought. North Wind? Ain't that the company you rescued that cougar fellow of yours? Bore the same brand as Feck. No mistaking it when I saw it. It's them, all right. Naja growls out a bitter sigh and rubs her eyes. Now we have to deal with the legions of slaves now? And here I thought the Empire wouldn't stoop to new lows. Everyone around the campfire went silent. Nadja could feel the weight of their eyes watching her now. Her being aggravated was nothing noteworthy to concern themselves with, but she knew best to keep their spirits up. Nadja let out a deep, scowling sigh. They're none of our concern, though. The Empire can sick their slaves against Losep. We have bigger game to hunt. Nadja surveys everyone at the fire, all of whom greeted her with a soft, hearty smile and a chuckle to her dismal morning outburst. Magina sat to her side with a look of tattered confusion lining her face. Nadja shatters her own mild annoyance and bears a tender smile to her cub. She bends down and cups her daughter's head in her paws and kisses her forehead. Magina squirms in her mother's grasp, tickled by her whiskers. Ma. Sleep well, sweetie? Mm-hmm. Oh, you have a little, Magina taps her own cheek to let her mother know there was still jam in her fur. Yeah, I know. Be a dear for Mommy and get it for me? Magina beams with delight, smiles, and hugs her mother's neck. Nadja scoops Magina into her arms and begins licking her mother's cheek clean. Nadja's heart felt like a crippled bird, yearning to soar but grounded to reality. Precious moments like these were scarce, but valuable all the same. She would go to great heights to have times like these last forever. Disposing the Empire in one final assault would be her last attempt to fulfill this dream of hers. She wanted to hug her child all day long. But this nightmare would persist a little longer for her as Zeta pulls out a particular scroll in front of her. She could feel the air of unpleasantries looming over him now, as if he were carrying death itself in his paws. Her feral eyes gazed dauntingly at it. What's that? Found this on our bat friend. He passes the scroll off to her. His vibrant yellow eyes held steadily to the onlooking crowd. Something was unnerving to her wolf companion, this much Nadja could tell. Still holding Magina in her arms, she untethered the scroll with one hand, and it hangs in front of her. Magina stops grooming her mother's fur and reads the note along with her, cheek to cheek. Nadja skims through it, only to toss Zeta a look of blatant confusion. What exactly am I reading here? Was that guy sent to spy on us or something else? Zeta returns his gaze from the crowd to Nadja. He sits beside her, at ear's reach. His tone becomes more hush. More or less. Feels as though it was meant for private eyes only, as a reminder. For who or what, I don't know. Nadja throws a side glance his way before leering across the campfire as well. Everyone was equally confused with the way she read the parchment. Zeta, however, took their collect confusion as a sign of relief. Perhaps the letter wasn't addressed to anyone within the camp. Still, that didn't mean he couldn't throw caution to the winds. I'm fairly certain he wasn't Imperial. He also carried a dirge ring. Nadja sinks her talons into the parchment and snaps the stem from the scroll. Everyone within earshot of the news glued themselves to the leader's reaction, with held breath. Nadja leers directly into Zeta's eyes. What brand did it carry? War. The silent news began traveling through the crowd, infecting everyone within the camp, an uproar, accomplished by cursing, raging, and hysteria alike. An ill ichor sinks into Nadja's chest. She nearly bites her own tongue off after being fueled by the grudging evidence. She snarls under her breath, Damn, you Karim, what in the bloody hells are you doing? Nadja couldn't think straight. The unease, tension flooding the camp became toxic to her senses. Everyone was ready to panic. She could feel it, Magina included. Nadja takes a deep breath and plants her mind firm on the matter. Giving her daughter a light kiss on the cheek and a tender hug, Nadja sets her aside and stands. Quiet, you all. Even with her towering authority, no one found it in themselves to settle down. A beastly snarl begins to bellow up within her chest as fear turned into an unbridled roar. I said quiet. Everyone fell silent. Not even the wind dared to whisper in the wake of the lioness's uproar. I need to think. She begins to pace about, her mind now scattered in thought. All prying eyes were back on her once more. The very air became electric. Everyone was on their own toes, eagerly awaiting their leader's thoughts on the matter. Nadja knew her clan's reputation with the Losep alliance had weakened over the years, but even to this day, the Sharkarans proved itself valuable in these trying times. To declare war on their own foot soldiers made no sense. Her own actions back in the war room couldn't have garnered this kind of drastic action to her clan, she thought precautiously. But what if? She glares down the parchment, now a crumpled mess on her paw, and leers over at Zutta. Are you certain the bat wasn't Imperial? Not a spy or an agent to throw us off balance? Call it a gut feeling, but I called it as I saw fit, and sent my men home to check on things. I hope I'm wrong on this one, but if there are a warband of dirge heading homeward, we should... Karim wouldn't dare send them to Sharkara. He of all people would know our history with them. Yeah, he's also one to press the heel of his boots to his lessers. Whatever you did back at the fortress must have pushed those High Lords to assert dominance or some shit, am I wrong? She couldn't imagine any of them committing to such heresies towards their own clan. Blood or not, they were all her family and would follow her lead into the rings of hell if she deemed it. This was a mistake. She prayed for this to be a misunderstanding entirely. Who could the letter have gone to had she not shot down the messenger, she thought. Nobody, as far as she was aware of, was stationed anywhere in the direction she was heading. This only posed as a troubling thought to her as she tries to piece everything together. Yet her outrageous tangent against the Highborns last night left a sour feeling in her gut. She couldn't shake the feeling of something horrid looming in the distance. Angered, Nadja begins to snarl at the damning evidence placed before her. She growls at Zutta before staring off into her clan. The Emperor was exposed and out on the field somewhere. There would never be more of a perfect time for an ambush. They needed to do this. She needed to do this. Her fist trembled and swelled into a vibrant red as she sinks her own talons into her palm. She slowly holds her head up high and takes several fleeting breaths. I promised you all a grand battle to the end in this accursed war, but I'm afraid a change of plans is in order. Even at the mere mention of their name, the Dirge have always found a way to F us proper. Everyone within the crowd shifted anxiously to what Nadja spouted. Her words laid heavy to every ear listening in. Regardless if they're marching homeward or not, we're not letting the Emperor slip from our hands. Not when we're this close to sinking our fangs into his rich blood. A yammering of grunts and growls bellowed from the crowd, yet none could argue with her logic. That said, when we find them, I'll rip through every single Imperial they throw our way to get that bloody High Lord. You, on the other hand, are forbidden from fighting any Imperials. Everyone paused. Dazed by the very thought of it, her clan burst into a riot, both outraged and flabbergasted at the chieftain's orders. Her mighty voice roared through the masses and demanded attention once more. Come on already, pipe down. We are the Sharkarans. We've built a legacy off the brutalities and insanities of our tribes have inflicted onto this world. We made history revere us, know us by nightmares and consequences alone. So I'll be damned to have our legacy tarnished, one bit by the likes of those dirge. Blinded in her own fury, she stormed straight through the campfire to address the people directly. Neither a twinge of pain or resentment of walking through the flame could break the storm brewing in her eyes. Our clans are spread thin, and sending word to abandon their post would spell disaster for us and the rest of the Alliance. We're already marching towards an enemy. We can't afford to have more on every front now. Nadja pauses to take in a breath. So do the rest of her clan. No one had found the means to breathe, with their ferocious chieftain roaring down in their faces. Zetta made mention The Valar Empire followed a duel of champions? Mentally, back when he used to do contracts for them. She peered off to Zutta, gardening everyone's attention towards him as well. That's still a thing they do, right? Been ages since I worked with them, but I believe so. They're not ones to stray from a tradition, last I checked. Nadja holds him to his word, with a triumph bravitos to her tone. Then that settles it. Your great and powerful chieftain shall challenge the Empire's finest. No matter the amount, I'll wither down their forces until I crack the Emperor's very skull on top of the mound of his own dead men. Everyone seemed frozen in disbelief. This wasn't so much a rallying cry, but a suicide pact she seemingly became deranged enough to sign. Not that I doubt you couldn't pull it off, but are you listening to yourself right now? Of course I am. It will be days until we hear back from your men. Whether or not our homes are under threat, we need to stall. Every clansman felt the weight of Nadja's words sink into their souls. Every harrowing emotion she harbored found their way into everyone's hearts, unable to object to her crazed logic. Sharshkarans come first. That's how it is, always has, always will. I can't afford losing a single one of you to the gruesome battle with the Empire. I need you all to be strong and ready if your home is under siege. What's the life of a single Sharkaran if the very namesake is robbed of them? If the Valars really are as honor-bound as we've been told, I'll cast my own life in their line of sight if it means averting it from you all. She holds herself stoically, awaiting for any objections, but none came forth. She nearly breaks character when she catches a glance of Magina, her arms hugged around her sides and eyes trembling with fear. Nadja takes in a deep, wavering breath and growls out, "No objections? Good. We have a lot of planning ahead of us now. Whatever outcome we make for ourselves will affect the Shurkarans. I'll leave that bit to Zutta. I, on the other hand, will do what Shurkarans do best, make an example. An example just for the Empire. When they cross lines with the Shurkarans, after all, what better way for yours truly to contribute to an ongoing infamy? The world will know us well, for when one lonesome Shurkaran single-handedly took on an entire imperial regime. And knowing my handiwork, y'all definitely will see me make a spectacle out of them. Haha! Despite the overcasting gloom that befell everyone, the shining bravado Nadja lit their fighting spirits up once more. They knew all that needed to be done, and would be at her beckoning call at a moment's notice. Her clan rejuvenated, Nadja gleams across the sea of her battle-hardened brothers and sisters. All were at the ready to her orders, save for her daughter, who carried distraught within her eyes. The second their eyes met, however, Magina's gloomily glaze hardened into a devout aberration for her mother. She ignites herself into a fiery roar, chanting along with the clan as they place her hopes onto her mother's shoulders. Okay. I'm right here. That's a chapter for today. I didn't bring enough liquids with me. I literally drank these 2 cups full, and now I need more liquids if I'm going to continue. And this has been however long this episode was from start to finish, I recorded 1 hour and 7 minutes. Let's see how much I have to chop out for me stuttering constantly. Anyways, what I wanted to say is, at the beginning of this story, it was a guy talking to his son or daughter or something like that. I didn't catch it. I forgot now. That's my bad. And he's talking about, he's talking about oh my goodness. There was a thought that was coming to mind as I was reading this today. And I think I might actually be getting into the story now, because I wasn't interested in this story yet until today, where now my mind is actually starting to grasp it a little bit. That's why I wanted to take it slow to see, to try to understand it more. The beginning of the story is like a father talking to his son about his mother Nadja that passed or died in battle a long time ago, and so this is her story building up. I'm wondering if the Empire guy that she wants to kill really bad and is going to ends up being that guy that's telling the story, and something happens where when she gets there to fight him, she understands that maybe he's not as bad as she thought, and then they team up, and then that's how she gets, that becomes her next husband or something like that. That is, I'm curious on if that happens, and then they turn the tide and make peace. So I don't know. I don't know how the story goes. Supposedly there's even choices in this story. I don't think I've seen very many, except for like I decided to like cut their armor off to get within the bat's like chest to see the tattoos and stuff. But supposedly there's going to be multiple endings and there's some other scenes in this, and I'm just like, you know what? I'm starting to get into this. I know I said I was going to make 2 episodes a month on this, but that was like the minimum. I want to make sure I at least do that while I'm doing my other projects because this is so much harder for me to do. I might do some more because I am enjoying this. It's really just the editing drags for this because like what was it? When I was doing Changed, it took like 2 hours to edit. When I edit one of these, it takes like 6 hours to edit one on top of the hour it takes to record it. And then on top of that, my editor bugs out the whole time. I have to unplug my headset, plug it back in because the audio messes up for some reason, and I have to. And they fixed it where I can't like go back, so it's going to take even longer. And so that's one of the reasons why I like don't make too many of these videos as quickly. But I'm kind of filling the story, and like I don't want to record the next part until I edit this up, and I want to read more because I gotta see where this is going. So, anyways, I hope you guys been enjoying. Leave a like, subscribe if you're new. And I will see you guys in the next one. And I hope you guys have been enjoying the series. I am still waiting for Promises to Keep to add another chapter. Supposedly they did, and I went and checked it out. They added a whole new like ending to like up to where the updates are. So like I ended right here with Rofi, right? They added more stuff here for the other characters, so you can end it with Ollie now. And so I didn't want to do that because I just want to follow Rofi, or I'm just following my one path through this story. I don't care about the other endings and Promises to Keep just yet, but maybe I'll play the game again another time. Like once the game fully comes out and I do the one playthrough and I end it, I'll probably do another one or something like that, and it'll be like longer. I don't know. Just some plans that I had. Anyways, I don't want to make this too long with my yapping. But yeah, we've been doing Olive Bug and Wolfenstein New Order, and we're doing this. But there is some other games I wanted to do. I think I want to do Stardust Kids next. I think that's what it's called. Or no, there's another one. It's another visual novel, and I want to at least be doing one, even though they're a little more difficult to edit. And I've been missing Promises to Keep. That was such a good one. That's probably like my favorite series on my channel. Honestly. Like I have a few. Maybe I should do a tier list of like series I've done on my channel where like I'd be like number 1 would be Promises to Keep without a doubt, unless like I look through and I see another one that I really liked. But I have a few series that I've done that like I'm like, you know what, I'm really proud of this series. Promises to Keep is probably my number 1 though. I really like how that went. The first episode, I was like, first time ever doing those, but then once like the episodes progressed, it got better and better in my thought process for how I self-judge. Anyways, enough of my yapping. I'll see you guys in the next one. Adios, amigos.